Okay, let's see if it's popped up back over here.
Okay.
Sorry, this is the interesting first few minutes of all of these.
Yeah, it continues to be super exciting and riveting.
Mm-hmm. And well, Super is in the title at least a couple of times, plus on this day as well, on Super Sunday.
Super Sunday. Yeah. Hey, I see us over here.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Like, it's like I was saying before, you can test these things out several times, and every single time, the thing that you've tested 20 times to make sure that it's okay and that it works will actually start fucking up. Mm-hmm. But all right, everyone, thank you so much for hopefully a lot of you are still there. And again, this is a super chat stream where we are taking super chat questions, and we're going to be playing through Mario 64. There it is. We are going to be playing through Mario 64, at least the floor 1 levels. So, you know, if this goes over well, then we'll be doing some more after that as well. But if you have any questions or comments for us or anything like that, please use the super chat feature. And we do have one on here that is Tim Whitfield. Thank you so much for the donation. Who says, do you remember watching Happy Days at some point? Here and there. I watched it here and there, like in reruns, of course, when it was on. But that was a show that wasn't it wasn't really easy to catch around here in reruns. Like, sometimes it was on, and, you know, everyone knows all the quotes and everything from it. So regardless if you've seen very much of the show, you can still probably, like, quote it like you can a lot of sitcoms back in the day. So yeah, it was I never watched it like really in like repeat reruns, because again, I think it's the same thing with MASH, where it was only on like around here like sometimes, like maybe once or twice a week, and pretty late at night.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I remember as well from around here, is that like, because MASH was a show I saw more of, but only, you're right, it was late at night, and it was like after, you know, it'd be like the news. And then it'd be like, you know, a rerun of Star Trek. And then it's like after that was MASH. And then sometimes it was Happy Days or something. One of those type of older shows. Yeah. And that's great. It was fun to watch, I remember. But you never got any like continuity of like, you know, this starting the season from the beginning. Yeah. It's like, oh, look, it's an old episode of Happy Days. You know, and you'd watch it from there. So
it was much easier to see, like, you know, the Dick Van Dyke Show, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mr. Ed, all the Nick at Night shows from when we were growing up. Oops. It was so Mary Tyler Moore and the Dick Van Dyke Show. Those I watched quite a bit. Happy Days, not so much. The Bob Newhart Show. That one I would see quite a bit, because again, like, Nick at Night would run like blocks of them and things like that, like with Welcome Back, Kotter. So it's like you said before, this better be the best damn tasting cake that he's ever had in his life.
I bet it's going to be awesome, is what it's going to be. That's what the point is.
Please don't go here, Mario. Like, everything in your past has suggested to you that this
just
isn't going to be a good idea.
Do you remember nothing?
Plus, this is the this is the first 3D game too. So
That's right.
It's going to be a lot more intense. I'm just popping up to make sure. That first few minutes that we did a second ago is in the archives.
Oh, good. Yeah.
See, he tells you scram, and to get out of here, scram, don't come back. What an idiot.
Okay, so there was a super chat question here. I'll just feed these
Well, let me answer those two from the comments earlier, just so that they're in the proper video.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was up here. So
there's a couple of super chats that we have from our previous midnight screenings. Thanks, Miss Alexandria Michaels, who says, keep up the awesomeness. And thanks, Gray Shot Productions, who asks, are you going to review Dragon Ball Super Brawly? If I have time, I will. It is still playing.
Right.
Because when I saw that it was, I'd never heard of it until there was problems with the projector. Until there was problems with the projector a couple weeks ago, I think when we were at Glass.
Mm-hmm.
And I just assumed it was like a 1 or 2 night thing, because that's usually the case when something Dragon Ball related is showing. And then I was told in the comments that it was a 4-day thing, and it's still playing, so I guess they extended that. If I have time, I might, because those are kind of funny, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about when I review those. So, that might be kind of humorous. But again, if I have time, I will.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get... There's a few movies I'm not going to get around to seeing, just from being gone. And The Upside, I'm not going to get a chance to see The Upside. I don't know how many people would watch that anyway. It's been out for a few weeks. I hear it's just simply kind of mediocre. So once in a while that'll happen. Once in a while that'll happen during the year where I'm gone for a few weeks. I have to play catch up, and there's just a few things that I won't be able to see. Now, if I heard that The Upside was anything like Serenity,
then that's going to be making it worthwhile.
Or that movie we saw the other night, The Least of These.
Oh, yeah.
We got a... someone was like kind of pissed off at us about that. I mean, not really pissed, but someone who was definitely like probably really, really looking forward to that movie, like left us a message saying like, I think you should leave it up to the reviewer leave it up to the audience whether or not they like it or not. I'm like,
what?
I'm not.
It's not whether we think you like it, it's whether we like it. I mean, it's the point of reviewing movies.
I'm sure there are going to be people who like that movie.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Some people like getting a root canal. I mean, you know, why not?
Yeah, if you're Bill Murray from Little Shop of Horrors, you might like it. And that's the end of this game.
Done.
I remember when I first was playing this, and it was when it first came out. Like, to be perfectly honest, like this maybe is my favorite game.
Yeah.
This is a game that I do go back to like every year. This isn't even the first time this year that I've played this game. So, when I first got it, and was playing through it and was getting the stars and the doors, and then the star door up there says you need this many stars to get through here, and then you fight Koopa. I remember thinking like, well, this is a really short game. All I gotta do is just get all these. Like, oh, maybe it's just really short because they're testing out the 3D aspect. Right. Like, oh, there are more levels of it. There are more floors on this castle.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So did you want to...
That's a question for you, isn't it? Oh, the top...
Okay, so this first one says, do you still have any questions from my last time from the Glass review? So I brought those up. These are a couple of these from that Glass review.
Oh, okay.
These two right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. So future movie actor. Yeah, we'll go back and we'll hit these last ones from the last minute. So the first one is I give Irving a lot of credit for how good his recollection of movies is after one viewing. How to Be Single with the night.
Oh yeah.
I saw Deadpool. So yeah. Irving's good. Yeah, he's great. I mean, it's so.
I mean, no, totally. He is fantastic at recalling all that stuff that he saw. Because he went through like from beginning to end of that movie. Really, it was a pretty intricate review of How to Be Single. That was. I remember when he went to go see that, and it was supposed to be him and our friend Adam, and Adam had to cancel at the last minute or something like that to see How to Be Single. So Irving had to sit there and watch it by himself when it first came out. I don't remember if it came out Valentine's Day or not, but there were a lot of couples in there, and he's just sitting there watching it alone. How to be single, oh man.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose.
I guess that's not as bad as like. I guess it's not as bad as like my ass being alone in a theater with a bunch of families watching like freaking the Boxcar Children movie.
Okay, so Justin Nieswander has asked, hope the edit of Snob 2 is going well. And it is. It is going well. We had some technical difficulties with some of the things we got on set.
The snow?
No. Snow, yeah, that wasn't a that ended up being an aesthetic choice, is what that ended up being.
Yeah.
But no, with the edit, we had a problem with something on set. Sometimes you hire people who say they can do certain things, and they have the credentials to do certain things, and they have recommendations to say they can do certain things, and then it turns out they can't do the things.
Dude, I swear I can act.
No, Brad. You know. Anyway, point is that there were some things that required me to go back and fix things. I mean, thankfully, like, nothing was lost, nothing was damaged, nothing was irreplaceable. Mm-hmm. It just meant that, you know, you hire somebody, you pay somebody to do a certain task, and then they don't do it. That means that now I have to go back and do it. So I lost a couple weeks worth of time because I've had to go back and redo these things. It's part of, you know, since I'm the post-production facility that's working on this. You know, if we had a bigger facility or a bigger budget, I mean, I could have hired a couple people to do it for me, but instead it's been me doing it. So that has meant that I've had to go back and...
Are you talking about, like, reflections? Or
no,
like that?
No, I'm saying it's really not that. It's we recorded the movie in 6K.
Gotcha.
And so my computer and most computers are not really capable of editing footage that's in 6K. Because those are outrageously huge files.
Yeah, if we tried editing that on my computer,
your computer would just die.
Yeah, it would just blow up.
You'd get like the old computer little look of a face, and then it would fart and then die.
My editing software gets mad at me just when I'm editing in simple HD off of a Sony Handycam.
right. So anyway, so what that means is what we do is we do a process called transcoding, which is we take those 6K files and then we transcode them down to a simple compressed HD file. Mm-hmm. That's something I can edit with.
Yeah.
And then what that's called is an offline edit.
Yeah.
So that offline edit then means that I can take that footage, I can edit the movie easily on my smaller computer, and then when we're ready to actually finalize it and do color correction of the 6K footage, those low-res HD files can then be relinked to the high-res 6K file for us to do color correcting, which is called the online edit, the onlining process.
Yeah.
So what that means is that was done incorrectly. And it has meant that I've had to go back, retranscode, and redo all of that footage from the very beginning. And that's about 10 days worth of footage. And that's a lot that I've had to do.
How's it coming along, like, with the snow and everything?
The snow's fine. I mean, really, aesthetically, it looks really cool. I mean,
it really does.
It looks like a really cool movie. And I mean, we talked about this when it snowed. We're like, you know what? You don't often do a winter aesthetic movie, you know.
No,
you don't see that too often.
Not at all, especially in a movie that it doesn't take place around the holidays.
Right,
like
exactly.
There is one line about Christmas, but it was ad-lib because there was snow outside. But like it not. I think I say something like it looks like a very Texas Chainsaw Massacre Christmas out here.
Right? Yeah. So it's
not really even alluding to the fact that it's taking place around Christmas because it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. It's just winter. It's just a winter aesthetic movie.
That is really unique, especially for this kind of movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually little indie budget movies like this are shot somewhere outside LA.
Yeah.
So like there's absolutely never going to be any type of snow there.
There's way more snow in this than most Hallmark Christmas movies that you'll see.
That's true, because most, like the ones I worked on, were shot in LA in like July.
Yeah.
so yeah, they're wearing all their heavy coats. Like, ooh boy, it sure is crisp out there because it's Christmas, but it's 95 degrees.
There was one Christmas Kiss 2 that I watched for the Snob. That was one where in exterior shots that they had of I think it was like Baltimore, maybe it was taking place, or Boston. it was showing like snow on the ground and everything, and then but then when you cut to them actually standing there talking, like it is clearly like fucking spring or summer with your light jacket on.
Yeah.
My favorite, this has come to be like my favorite in a lot of those, is always, because there's always coffee in those. All right, blow up, asshole. There's always there's always coffee in those. Someone carrying like a Starbucks style like coffee cup.
Right.
And it's always, and I understand why, but like it's always completely empty.
Yeah.
But they never do a good job of making it look like it's full.
Right.
It is always.
I got my tray full of coffee that's just moving around like this and like this. Like I'm just running with this.
So in Christmas Kiss 2, she's standing there getting in the elevator, one on top of the other. Just like, okay, I can barely just carry it like this without it still spilling out the top of it. And she's like carrying stacks of it for her boss. I always do the, you get in the 8 red coin levels, which are usually my least favorite levels in these, is when you have to collect 8 red coins. You also get like bonus stars when you get 100 coins in each of these worlds. So I always just combine those into the 8 red coin ones.
Strategy is what it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, so to finish that up, the edit of the movie's coming along very nicely, and I will say this: what's going to be cool is within the next week or so, we should be able to start releasing some screenshots.
Yeah. For
the movie to kind of. We released a couple things like on Facebook when I finished that were like from my personal phone, but really we've got some things that were from the camera, stuff that is actual in-camera footage that shows some of the amazing things we were able to shoot. So, you're just letting the guy just eat you.
Yeah, you get coins when you circle around those posts like that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Anyway, so look for more stuff. We were delayed because of the holiday and because of I moved and that sort of thing. So we were delayed a little bit, and then also, like I said, having to fix some of that technical stuff. But we're off and rolling now, and so everybody, the Indiegogo contributors will start seeing some of these things first, and then we'll release them wider to everybody else. So
plus the Nazi-exploitation DVD will be out soon.
Yes.
I have just like one episode left to do that, and I'm planning on doing that this week. That's really the only thing that's holding that up. When I edited the last one on there, you should keep this in mind when you watch the episode on the Red Knights of the Gestapo. These titles run together, man. Jesus Christ. Especially when you watch 5 of them in a row.
Oh,
So when I wrote and shot the episode on Red Knights of the Gestapo, it was several months before I edited it. The actual episode itself is shot back at my old place, and then that DVD was originally going to be out a while back, but we put a pause on it for the Indiegogo campaign because we wanted, like, okay, if anyone's going to contribute anything to us, we'd rather be the Indiegogo campaign and not the DVD. Yeah. Plus, we can make the DVD one of the perks. So then, we were focused on the Indiegogo campaign and then doing the movie as well. And several months went by before I got a chance to edit the episode on Red Knights of the Gestapo. And I kept thinking, like, I feel like this is going to be super hard to edit because I barely remember anything about this movie. I don't even know if I'll know the context of what I'm talking about in it. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Like, because as I was editing it, the movie was kind of coming back to me a little bit. And there were a few parts where I'm like, I don't know the context here. Like, oh, shit. I don't know the context. Can I just slam into a wall? Didn't really wanted to do this right now, but
that's the last thing I want to do is be shot out of a cannon.
No, it was coming back to me as I was watching it, but there were a few parts. I don't want that yet. I swear to God, if the cannon like shoots me right into the star, you son of a bitch. No, like that was an interesting episode.
All right, let's see here. So, Mr. Flipper Invader 792, thank you for the donation.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
So the question is, I don't know if you guys heard, but Final Destination is getting a reboot.
Of course it is.
Because it's never the final destination.
Uh-huh.
It's always a reboot. I mean, yeah, why not? You know, somebody just you know.
I mean, the death scenes will be fun, of course, because the death scenes are always fun in those movies. I hope they do something. I don't know. Like, I hope they add on to it a little bit, because as those movies kept going, the death scenes were still fun, certainly, and inventive and unique, and you did sit there like kind of cringing a little bit at some of them in anticipation for this person dying. But there were 5 of those movies, and it got to a point where you really weren't finding out much more information than you did in the previous ones.
Right.
So that got a little frustrating to me, but they weren't really that unique enough. They all kind of ran together for me a little bit. So if they do a new one, I hope it's not just the same thing again as the other movies.
Right. Okay, so future movie actor again. Hey, thanks so much for watching and contributing again. Surprised Sherlock Gnomes and Peppermint didn't make your worst list with how angry those movies and Fallen Kingdom made you. So,
you know, it's like I told Sarah, like, I see a lot of bad movies. Yeah, those movies were terrible, and those movies certainly made me mad, but on a lot of different levels, like on a technical level and everything, they weren't worse than One Nation Under God or
it's hard to
Life
be
of
worse
the Party.
Than those, yeah.
Oh, that was that movie was only number 5. Man, that was honestly maybe like my favorite worst of video that we've done, because every movie on my list just kept breaking Sarah's spirit. Like when I was just explaining the plot line of One Nation Under God. Let me get this guy. When I was just explaining the plot line of One Nation Under God, she was just having this look of dread and other, like, just lack of faith in humanity because of these movies. And so I felt bad for her on there. And then when it got to number 4, she was dreading that. She's like, okay, so what the hell is your number 4 gonna be? Jesus Christ. And I'm like, oh, you'll be fine with this one. It's Life of the Party. And she's like, oh, thank God. And I'm like, that's how bad this list is when you get to Life of the Party and you're like, oh, thank God it's Life of the Party.
All right, so Andrew, is it Polino?
Andrew Polito. He was in Disco.
Yeah, he was in Disco. Well, yeah, he's a friend. Thanks so much for contributing, Andrew. Thanks for being a fan. I remember I met you, and I think it was in Niagara Falls, is where I met him.
That was where I first met him, too.
He does really cool stuff with, like, 3D VR stuff.
Yeah, he did a 3D, like a 360 interview.
Yeah, no, he does really cool stuff. Now, check his stuff out. Prop for you, Andrew. But anyway, he asked, hey, Brad and Ryan, aside from Looney Tunes, what other comedy classics, i.e. Three Stooges, did you grow up with or get inspired by?
Three Stooges.
I mean, Three Stooges is a major one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that most of my comedy, most of my how I think, I mean, I don't know if it qualifies as a classic, but I mean, it's The Simpsons.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
I mean, that's a huge. The Critic.
Yeah, the Critic definitely.
I mean, that's a major. Like, I still quote The Critic.
Yeah.
And what's great about The Critic is you can quote The Critic and nobody knows that show, so it seems like you made up the joke yourself.
Yeah. I constantly quote The Critic.
Our fans here probably know the Critic, but I mean, like most people out in the world, they're completely unaware of that show.
I played Jay Sherman, and it was the Sex and the City episode of The Snob.
Right, yeah.
And that was fun to do. So yeah, I love throwing out references to The Critic. It's one of my favorite animated series.
Right.
The Late Show with David Letterman.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Letterman is a huge comedy influence on me. But of the era of like the Stooges, it was definitely the Stooges, because my dad and I would watch those all the time.
That was one that there were reruns of the Stooges that were playing. We were talking earlier about like not getting a lot of reruns of like Happy Days. I remember seeing a lot of reruns of the Three Stooges.
Yeah, that would get rerun quite a bit.
And to great effect. I mean, it was really fun. I enjoyed the hell out of watching those.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those were a big deal for me.
Oh, I need the wing for this. Okay, so it's the fifth one on here. Oh, it's the chomp, the chain chomp. No, so but what else would I want? Oh, Monty Python.
Oh my God, yeah. Monty Python and Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Like Monty Python and Mel Brooks for me. I mean, I've seen all the Mel Brooks movies, including like the 12 Chairs and like his ones that are not meant to be specifically comedies.
Yeah.
I really love those, and I love that the comedy, the way he presents his jokes. I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
So all right.
All right, gotta go get some coins.
Uh-oh. Anyway, all right, so let's see your future movie actor again. Hey, buddy. What do you think it will take to make a Hallmark-type movie justified for a theatrical release again? Well, that's an interesting question. Honestly, what garners a theatrical release is whether or not they think it's they can bring an audience into the theater. And I mean, really, the stories in these Hallmark-type movies you could see in a theater if it had a big enough star in it.
I was actually just going to say that. It would be star power.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. If you got a big enough star to be in the movie, I mean, because the plot lines are so simple. They're so easy. They're just these, saccharine-y, feel-good type of movies.
They're conveyor belt movies.
They're conveyor belt movies. I mean, I've worked on a bunch of them. Not Hallmark specifically, but for Lifetime. So I've worked on a bunch of those movies, and they're all. I mean, there's the Will Ferrell. What's her name?
Elf?
No. There was a Lifetime movie. It was like
where
they made a parody.
A Deadly Adoption.
A Deadly Adoption, exactly. Kristen Wiig.
Kristen
Wiig and Will Ferrell. So what's funny is that one didn't even get theatrical release.
No,
So
that didn't get a theatrical release, but I think that was part of the joke.
It was part of the joke. I mean, that was deliberately meant as part of the joke. Theatrical release is hard because those type of movies are probably going to get a lot more play if they continue to be on something like a Lifetime. It'd be really hard to justify the amount of money that it costs. Well, I mean, just to put it this way, a lot of those movies cost somewhere between $100,000 to $200,000 to produce. So really low budget in the world of movies, and to get a movie into theater, like now it's digital, so it's not as complicated to build a film print, because a film print of a movie can cost like $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
So that's like one film print of a movie is $20,000, and you only spend $100,000 on the movie.
Yeah.
Now it's all the hard drives. They send hard drives to movie theaters. That's what the movies come on. They don't come on reels of film anymore.
Yeah.
But still, you got to build those hard drives. You got to buy them. You got to do the duplication. Mm-hmm. Like that could still easily be $30,000, $40,000.
Yeah.
To get all of them, to make like 100 of those hard drives or something. And again, I'm speculating. This is based solely on just my thoughts of what it could be. But if you're only spending $100,000 to make a movie, you're not going to spend half of the budget on the movie to send it to theatrical. When you could just put it on Lifetime, and you're going to get that advertising money in back.
And easy. they get play every year, like where it's non-stop, like whether you're watching the Hallmark Channel or Ion or any of those, like they they play on repeat. I mean, we usually have a bunch of them on in the background. Laura and I, during the holidays. Not that we're genuinely interested in them. It's just like it's background noise.
It's background noise. They're just candy. I mean, that's what it is. Like they're not. There's no sustenance. There's no actual like nutritional value to them. They're just candy, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Kept me employed for a while, it's fine, So...
There's that movie that Irving and I went to go see, Just Getting Started. Like that's what I was thinking of when I was talking about in terms of star power, because that's a movie that it might as well be one of those Hallmark Christmas movies. But it's awful too. It's just terrible. But when we were watching it, we were like, it just feels like it's one of those movies, because again, you can tell it's shot not around the holidays, but it stars Morgan Freeman and Tommy Lee Jones and Rene Russo, and Ron Shelton directed it, so it's got a lot of people in it. Like maybe it's just a favorite of Ron Shelton. But that's one where it's like, okay,
get him,
come here, you bastard.
Ooh. Close. Sorry.
Dumbass. Here, watch your kid.
Oh, man. All right, let's see here. So, Die Hard Alien. Hey, thank you so much for the contribution. First time doing this. I've been a fan of yours for a long while, since maybe 2013. What are both of your most anticipated flicks of 2019? Have a nice day and take care. Well, take care as well. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for
thank you so much
for being a fan. It's really awesome. Okay, so all right, most anticipated flicks of 2019.
Off the top of my head, I am really looking forward to Dumbo.
Dumbo, yeah.
Like, cause God, even the trailer makes me tear up. Like, Jesus Christ. It's Tim Burton back with Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton. Like, sign me up. And he's doing a circus movie.
Right.
Yeah. Also, it looks like it's one where, like, even if it turns out to be not good, at least it looks like it's a Disney live action remake that is trying to include new ideas. That is having a unique voice. That like it's trying to do something different with the source material, as opposed to Beauty and the Beast, or what Lion King looks like from the trailer, where it's just, okay, this is just, you're making this to print money and for no other reason. Like, it's just the same thing again. At least Dumbo looks like it's got ideas and a vision. Like with I liked Pete's Dragon a lot.
Oh yeah.
So that one I'm really looking forward to. Oops.
Yeah. Oops. There we go. Okay. I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm looking forward to the Marvel movie.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty obvious. I think those ones are good, but like I think Captain Marvel. I was cautiously optimistic about it, but now I'm more optimistic. Now I'm like, this looks like this could be really cool.
Yeah.
This could be a lot of fun. And then just because I'm a glutton for punishment, the final Avengers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, I say that because, like, anticipating, the characters that are going to die in it and like that. It's like, okay, everybody died last time, but this one, the people are going to be in. It's like we kind of know.
Here's what makes me look forward to finally look forward to Captain Marvel is the cat poster.
And the cat, Goose, who was Marv.
Goose the cat.
No, Chewie. He's Chewie in the comic books.
Yeah.
But I guess Disney didn't want another character named Chewie. So,
really? So yeah, I mean, they don't have to pay anyone really for the rights of the name Chewie.
Like, exactly. It's not like they'd have to take it away from. But it might be confusing. Another furry companion named Chewie. So anyway, he's called Goose, which makes sense because they kind of got a Top Gun theme going there. So that looks pretty fun. So all right, let's see here.
Oops. I am going to order us some food.
Yes. All right. Not everybody. Sorry. We'd send it to you guys, but we're not sure where everybody is. So, all right. While you're doing that, let's take another question. This is from Castile Destler, and what is worse, a movie that bores you or offends you?
Bores me. It totally is, because like a really boring movie can really, really feel like work. Like it does. Like it'll be like just a total long slog to sit through, and you're just restless and impatient. Something that's like offensively bad, like old fashioned, or whatever.
There's an entertainment value to that.
Yeah, at least like I'm having some kind of emotion about it.
True, right? Yeah. I fully agree. Like watching that, the least of these, like that was painful. Like that sucked. You know, and again, that movie honestly wasn't offensive. Like, you know,
the story was good.
Exactly, right. Yeah, like the story of who he was and what he was doing and the tragedy that happened to him.
Yeah.
Like, those weren't bad. Those weren't offensive. The way the movie was made, just how bad it was just...
Cats are making noise. And what do they do? Are they trying to cook something?
I think the cats are cooking in there, the pots and pans.
Yeah. Can you riff for a little bit?
No, I can tell you. Yeah, I totally agree that, it's if it's something that is boring, that's just way worse. I would much rather sit through something offensive because it riles you up. You know, you're riled up. You're like, this is pissing me off. But I would rather have that than I would be bored because, you want a movie to somehow cause some form of emotion. And that's the point. That's the point of the art of it, is to actually get something out of it. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Let's see here. Future movie actor. I recall I had 2 questions in the Glass review. Ooh, okay. You know what? Let me look at that real quick, see if I can find. You know what? It looks okay. You do have a second one here. I'll wait till Brad gets back, and then I'll ask him that question for you. Sorry about missing that. Let's see here.
Chloe knocking down things of popcorn.
Oh, uh-oh.
That's not good for you.
That's right. You want the organic popcorn. Not that movie theater popcorn. Oh, so we missed another question from future movie actor from the Glass review.
Any preference on toppings, real quick?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Let's see here. So his second question from the Glass review was, sorry for your loss, Brad. Also, I created an entry for like brother and sister for you and Sarah on that TV Tropes page, TV Tropes for MS. So
created a brother and sister entry?
Yeah, for you and Sarah on that TV Tropes. So yeah, that was his second question.
Oh, right on. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks. Thanks, man. Sorry I missed that earlier. Okay, let's see here. Ashley Will. Thank you so much for the contribution. She asked, what's Laura up to? I enjoy watching the two of you play old video games like this one, especially because of your banter. Hi to Laura from me.
Laura's out of town visiting family right now. So she gets back in a bit. But yeah, she's just out still hanging out with her family. And so I've been working like crazy. Like that's honestly why you're seeing a lot of stuff pop up in advance over on Patreon. Subscribe to our Patreon, by the way. That's it. Patreon.com/thecinemasnob. I'll work because I'm bored,
right?
You know, and I've been here by myself the past week or so. So yeah, I've just been like, I'll be sitting there just doing nothing, and something will be on TV, and I'll be like, I should work on something. That'll give me something to do before I go to bed.
Right. Yeah.
You'll be seeing a lot more stuff pop up this month.
Okay, so future movie actor again. So I meant quality-wise pertaining to Hallmark types. Also, did you ever see the 2000 movie Snow Day, originally meant to be the Pete and Pete movie?
That was supposed to be a Pete and Pete movie?
I didn't know that.
The Chevy Chase film? No, I actually didn't see that. I remember when that came out. I want to say Pam Grier was also in that.
Oh.
Where, yeah, again, it's like, it's a shenanigans movie where the kids have a snow day. So I'm placing the order for our lunch. No, I actually didn't see that, but I didn't know that was supposed to be like a Pete and Pete movie. That's pretty funny.
It's funny. Yeah. Let's see here. So, next question. Made in Heaven 88. Hey, Brad, a friend of mine wants to know if you'll ever do any snob episodes on any Len Kabinsky movies.
I don't know who that is.
No, I gotta check it out, maybe.
For all I know, I have done an episode on that. I'll look into see what see what the titles are like, but yeah, I don't know who that is off the top of my head.
It could be wealth of new source material. So, all right. So then
it's gonna be hard to top the Trump prophecy this
year. Yeah. All right. So Aaron Foster, thank you so much for the contribution. At what point would you say the cinema snob really started to take shape? I know you've talked down on some of your earliest episodes.
Everyone does. Right. Everyone talks down on their own early episodes. Right. There's not a single internet personality or YouTuber who likes their earlier work. I don't know if I can point to a specific moment. Probably when probably the move to Blip TV. Because at the time on YouTube, because we started near the beginning of YouTube, and at the time, videos couldn't be longer than 10 minutes. So, because of that, they weren't linear reviews. They were just kind of random clips that I pulled. So it was structured differently. There wasn't as much of the movies that I could show. And also, I really did kind of have to find my voice for that character, because I wasn't used to doing comedy at the time. Mm-hmm. Any acting that I had done prior to that was always pretty dramatic, and I was usually a bad guy. So really, really finding that kind of comedic voice, it took a little while. Because again, like I said, I just wasn't used to it, and the early episodes are very kind of monotone. Mm-hmm. So it, but by the time Blip came around and the videos could be longer, and also I was a little more used to playing the character, then it kind of started to take shape a little bit. Still probably, if I were to go back and watch a lot of it, I'd probably still be ew. I was out of shape back then, too. Right. I don't watch the older episodes.
All right, so Sandre Knudsen, I think that's what it is. Forgive me if I'm butchering your name. I apologize profusely. Anyway, Star Wars sequels are now #1 movie off the trilogy. How do you think they compare to the prequels so far, comparing the story and such? So I'm assuming you're referring to Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, right? How do those compare to the earlier prequels?
I think it's very interesting that we now have 3 trilogies. I think does Episode 9 come out this year?
Yeah, I think it is next year or this year, 2019, right?
Yeah. Is that 2019? Is that when it comes out?
Is it 2019? I mean, it might be 20. I feel like we would have seen some type of trailer or something if it was 2019. Maybe. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting that we have 3 trilogies now.
We have 3 trilogies. You have the classic trilogy, the Great Trilogy, which is the original trilogy. Then you have the shitty trilogy, the prequels, and now we have a trilogy that's fine. So it really kind of hits all 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All 3 levels right there.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's because Disney. I mean, obviously Solo was not the financial success they wanted it to be.
And I liked it,
but it wasn't the financial success. So
no, it wasn't.
What it meant is they kind of pumped the brakes on let's make 6 new Star Wars movies every year.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I think it is too. I don't need that much Star Wars.
I really don't either. Because there is such a thing as too much of a good thing.
There is.
And if you start pumping them out, that means the level of quality and care that goes into them is gonna go down. And it also gets them a little time to kind of reevaluate the effect of something like Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of what you feel about it, obviously it made certain people feel very strong feelings and very certain things. So yeah. I think having some time in between the next movie You know, because Solo was being made while all this was happening. So they got a chance to see fan reactions. And hopefully what they're able to do with this is to go back, go! There we go.
I was trying to keep that from happening.
But, anyway, you know, and I mean, like, look, I have my problems with Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought, you know, there's some merit to it. They were ballsy. They tried some experimental things to it.
Yeah.
Not everything, I think, worked, but I think there were some interesting things to it. And, I mean, you know, there were some cool parts to the movie. So, hopefully, by having now that time, they can focus and figure out, okay, here's what worked about Force Awakens. Here's what worked about Last Jedi. Here's what didn't work about this. Here's what didn't work about that. And try to focus in on you know, the better parts. You know, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. I mean, you've got a major character who is dead in real life, who has to be alive in the movie, and then you have a major character who's alive in real life and dead in the movie.
Yeah.
So that's a major misstep. I mean, we could do a whole thing on, you know, debating
on Last Jedi.
On Last Jedi, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's things there's things I really like about Last Jedi, and then there were also some really stupid parts of it.
I totally agree. I mean, we should save that for another one because that'd be a good one. That'll, boy, will that get the blood, the angry blood flowing. But anyway, yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I at least feel like the stories they're building a massive universe. Like that is the one thing I will say I felt with Last Jedi was, instead of it being the second part of a trilogy, they're saying, hey, we own this franchise and now it's going to be never ending. Like that's what End of Last Jedi told me, was that this is not the second part of a trilogy. This is the, hey, guess what? You're going to see Star Wars movies forever.
I don't know if they needed a movie to do that, though. I mean, I pretty much figured this is going to be never ending once Disney bought it.
Well, I mean, it is, but like that. But that was them saying in universe.
Yeah.
It's like, instead of it being we're setting up for a final battle between good and evil, it's, guess what? It's going to be a never ending Star Wars.
You're going to be screaming at each other about this series forever and ever.
And we will just make so much money off this forever and ever and ever. So, okay. Let's go back here. There was from Adrian Fourniercom asked, do you pay taxes for the money you collected for the movie? Was it complicated to plan the budget? The answer to both is yes.
Wasn't expecting a tax question.
A tax question, yeah. Crap, we gotta go get the W-2s and start showing all our work. Yeah, I mean, yeah, business-related question, yeah, is fine. Yeah, we do. We that money is income.
Yeah.
And the movie expenses are expenditures.
Yeah.
So you treat them as such. And then was it complicated to plan the budget? Yeah, absolutely.
For the movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
The budget was really complicated. I mean, we ended up with, close to around $80,000, and I mean, that's more than a lot of people's annual income is. That's a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's something that we had to be very responsible with, because that's not our money.
Yeah.
That's your money. That's you people. You lovely people contributed to our to our campaign to give us that money. So that means we have to be extra responsible with it, because you paid for a product. You paid for us to make a movie, and damn it, we're making you a movie. We're not and we're not going to lose your money or spend it on irresponsible things. So part of what my degree is, I went to film school. My degree was a double degree in producing and screenwriting. Which is funny because I'm an editor. But yeah, so I mean that was a lot of what I studied, was how to do a budget.
Yeah.
And then I also learned a lot from just other producers that I've had the chance to work with. I've read a lot of books on the material. I've read a lot of budgets. I've seen a lot of programs and things from other producers on how to do a proper budget.
Yeah.
And then also just through trial and error, of doing. This is our fourth movie we've done.
Yeah.
And the first two, the first two really had minimal to no budget. There was still a tiny bit of a budget.
What was the budget on Paranoia?
It was like $5-6 grand.
Oh, wow. And Snob Movie was 16, I think.
About 16 grand. Yeah. And that was our money.
Oh, it was. That was out of pocket.
So that was out of pocket. That was our money. So, if we still had to be responsible because that was our own freaking money that we were throwing into that thing. But with this one, it was all about being extremely responsible with the money that other people have given us.
Yeah.
And which is different even from like a studio money. Like when you're doing a studio movie, obviously, they don't want you blowing their money, but they have a hell of a lot of money to blow.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is in a studio situation, they'll come to you and say, "Yeah, we want you to do a completely new third act." And you're like, "That's insane," but they're like, "But they have studio money." You know what I mean? So they're like, "We're just going to blow the money on it because we want to make a different movie."
Yeah.
So that's a little different. I mean, and you can be a little bit more irresponsible. I mean, not irresponsible, but I mean, like, you can be, this is a bad idea, but hey, that's what they want. The studio, this is what the studio wants, so whatever, we're going to give it to them. We don't think it's a good idea. But since we're making a movie we want to make with your money, we have to be very conscious. And you and I, we had a lot of conversations.
Oh, yeah.
When we were producing the movie of how do we most effectively do things to get what we want and to be, good stewards of the money that you provided us.
Oh, and like when we had the meeting about the snow, I figured this is a perfect level to talk about this. This level in Mario 64 was originally a fall-time level.
Exactly, and then it started snowing.
And then it just started snowing again.
Oh my God!
We had this big meeting because this takes a few tries. So yeah, we just had this giant snow dump, like on the third or fourth day of shooting, and we had this meeting like, well, what do we do? Because the scenes that we'd already shot, it is snowing in those shots.
Right.
So
you'd seen some snow, but there's no snow on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of, but you'd see some snowing. And then it was just a big snow dump.
Yeah.
And like there were scenes that took place earlier that we hadn't shot yet.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, the movie's going to open up now on a snow scene. And so we started talking about, okay, so what do we do? It's like, well, we either kind of do some tweaks on the script and some just tweaks in what we're talking about to make it a snow. And I said, or we have to close up shop and we have to wait for this to thaw.
And we continue to do the interior shots.
Yeah, we push over to do interior shots, and then we close up shop. We send everybody home. We pay them for the days that they've done, and then we have to redo this.
And we said like, okay, what's the financially? What's the?
And so I crunched the numbers. And I said, this is realistically what it is, and I mean, it's just like this is not. It's not good.
Yeah, but then when like we figured too, like, okay, we can make the scenes kind of match each other digitally,
right?
With digital effects put in.
There's things we can do to make it work, and then really ultimately the aesthetic of the film now being, a snow film, actually ends up working pretty nicely.
Yeah.
So we, but. It was budget talks. It was talking about the budgets. It was trying to figure out, you spend the money in the places where you know it's going to be most effective. You get a good camera. You get a good crew that knows how to use that camera. You get good effects. You get good things that it's going to be good. But having to blow money on doing reshoots because of a weather thing, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Fuck.
That sucks to waste your money on that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is that comes to our experience. So my experience as a producer, your experience as a producer, and then the crew. The crew that we work with were able to figure it out and make it happen.
Yeah.
So hopefully the complicated budget. Yeah, I could teach a class if we wanted to on how we put together our budget. So hopefully that kind of answered your question. All right. So Eric Banks, thank you for the contribution. Hey Brad, have you seen the new show Happy? It's an ultra-violent buddy cop show starring Christopher Malini and a flying unicorn.
Oh, Christopher Maloney and a
flying... Yeah. Oh, and the flying unicorn is, I think, voiced by Pat Oswalt.
Well, that show sounds like the most millennial fucking comedy show I've ever heard of in my life.
If I recall...
I've never heard of this.
I have heard of it. I haven't seen it. I know it's on Sci-Fi. And they're advertising it when we were doing the premieres and stuff for like Sharknado. So I've seen it. I haven't seen it, but I think the gist of the show is that like a little girl is kidnapped.
Okay.
And her imaginary friend is this little flying unicorn.
Yeah.
And so the burnt out cop is Christopher Molini.
Yeah.
And so he can see this little unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
And the little unicorn is trying to help him solve the case of the kidnapped girl.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's based on either a graphic novel or a comic book or something along those lines.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of it. I mean, if it's on, maybe I'll give it a shot. It doesn't really sound like my kind of thing. But I'll, yeah, I mean, I'll give anything a chance, really. Sounds interesting. I'll give it that.
Future movie actor. Hey, buddy. You heard of the trope, complete monster, when a villain has no redeeming qualities and is considered pure evil.
Like Frollo.
The thread helps approve candidates. A thread helps approve candidates. Oh, I see. Okay.
That dude in How to Train Your Dragon 3.
The villain in that.
Yeah, who looks a little bit like Frollo if you crossed him with Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken doesn't even do the voice, and it's like F. Murray Abraham does, and I'm like, did they originally want Christopher Walken for this? Because the character kind of looks a little like if Walken played Frollo. No, I mean, I don't know if I knew that trope necessarily has a name, or had a name, but yeah, no, I know what you mean, when, like, a villain is just so pure evil that, typically when I see that seems intentional.
Right.
It seems like the case. I mean, they are writing just a character that is the absolute embodiment of evil.
Another from a future movie actor. Can you guys go into more details about both Creed 2 and Glass now than you did before?
Did I not? Were there some details I did? Oh, I don't think I said what the cameo was in Creed 2.
Oh, right.
I didn't know that Brigitte Nielsen was going to be in it. So when she popped up in the movie, I'm like, oh shit, this is like, my jaw dropped, because she was married to Ivan Drago in Rocky 4, and then when they mention her in Creed 2, they say Drago talks about being divorced and raising his son himself. So I thought, like, okay, well, here was their out to have her not be in it, but then she's actually in it.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, I never thought I would see the day where she and Stallone are in another movie together again. That was some pretty powerful stuff. The scenes involving her character and Drago's relationship with his son, and how that kind of fucked his son up a little bit. Her pretty much abandoning them after the events of Rocky 4, or not long after the events of Rocky 4.
Mm-hmm.
As for Glass, was there really anything that we didn't discuss about Glass?
Did we not talk about the twists, maybe?
Maybe we avoided that. I can't remember.
That might be what we did.
Yeah, Glass was a movie that I thought was, like, did I want that movie to be better? Absolutely, because of how much I love Unbreakable and I love Split. But I was having a good time watching it still.
Right, yeah.
Like, I totally see the flaws of the film. I absolutely 100% do, and I get why somebody wouldn't like it. Because there's some pretty lazy shit in that movie. Like, but I was still pretty entertained enough by the movie to where I'm like, it's fine. Like, should it have been better? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go calling it like a piece of shit or anything like that, because there was stuff about the movie I thought worked.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see here. One more from a future movie actor. Said, would you think they should make another Speed with Keanu and Sandra and ignore Speed 2? I personally don't have the hatred that the others do for Speed 2.
I agree with that. Like, yeah. I saw Speed 2 when it was in the theaters, and I was going in expecting the worst because of how much people were trashing it, and watched it, and I was like, no, it's not as good as the first one, but it was pretty entertaining.
Right.
Them tracking down all these bombs on a boat, and Willem Dafoe's the bad guy.
Right.
I thought it was fun. No, it wasn't as good as the first one.
Right.
But I agree with Siskel and Ebert on that, honestly, because they gave it 2 thumbs up.
Do you think they should do a remake of Speed?
I don't know if they should remake Speed, but like bringing Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock back, I'd see no problem with that, because Keanu Reeves doesn't look that much older than he did back then. And,
boy, is that for true?
yeah, like, and also is still in crazy good shape, does his stunts in the John Wick movies. He could absolutely do another movie like Speed. As for pretending Speed 2 doesn't exist, like, all you really gotta, you don't really necessarily have to throw that out of continuity. All you really gotta do is just not mention the events of Speed 2.
Right,
which is easy to do, because Keanu Reeves isn't in Speed 2, so
right.
You could do that. Like, why would he even reference the events of Speed 2, because he wasn't there for it.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I would totally be down for seeing that again. I mean, it'd be better than replicas.
All right. Adam Grunther asked, what is the weirdest film that you have reviewed?
Oh, dude, Jesus.
Boy, is that a... That's got to be a hard pick.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that.
Take a moment to think about that. The weirdest film.
I really don't have an answer for this, because I mean, it was pretty weird watching Night Dreams with the woman dressed as a box of cream of wheat who's having sex with someone dressed like a hot dog or something. I can't remember, but even then, I'm like, I'm sure that I've seen weirder. I don't even really think about that really when I watch something that's fucked up. I'm really not thinking like, this is the weirdest movie I've ever seen. Yeah, I really don't think I have an answer for that. Like, because boy, I mean, you know, Tugrats was pretty far out in that it's a porno spoof of Rugrats where they're constantly looking at the camera going, just so we're clear, we are adults. We just have a baby. We just have a diaper fetish. And whenever I do something like Tugrats or Strokemon or something like that, there's a lot of comments that are like, I don't know how you make it through this. And I'm like, it's pretty easy. When you've seen 4 E.T. porno movies, it's that, I'm pretty numb to watching someone dressed like Pikachu have sex. Or the Ninja Turtles, or Sasquatch, or Tugrats. I'm like, well, that's definitely SpongeBob having sex. I am starving. I should have ordered this before we started.
The pizza, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Frank Sinatra...
Frank Sinatra asks...
Yeah, Frank Sinatra, yeah. Why am I dead? Frank Sinatra 90,001 Productions. Hey, Brad, glad you came to Cleveland last year.
Oh, yeah. I got a story about that.
Oh, nice.
Or wait, no, I don't think it was Cleveland. Sorry, I'm just gonna open the door in case.
Oh, gotcha.
To hear like
So we can. Oh, yeah, the pizza guy can come in. When he comes in, he'll take your questions. The pizza guy.
Did you make this yourself?
What took you so long?
No, yeah, it was fun. Cleveland was actually the first place we went when we started doing cons. It was Cinema Wasteland, I believe. And that was over 10 years ago. So yeah, that it was fun doing Cleveland again because of that. Where's my crackers?
Uh-oh.
Oh, there they are. No, it was fun doing. So okay, when I did Columbus, because I also did Columbus last year. I ended up taking the bus to Columbus. I also had to take the bus to Des Moines when I did that con, because there's not an Amtrak that goes to either Columbus or Des Moines. So the layover was in Indianapolis. And that but it was supposed to be only like a 20, 30-minute layover, and like 6 or 7 hours went by. That bus was showing no signs of coming back. There was a bus that showed up and only put on passengers who were traveling with other people. And they were like, don't worry, the second bus will be here soon. Cut to like midnight, you know, several hours later. I finally just asked, I was like, Chloe, this is why we keep the door shut.
Ah, my shoulder.
I finally just asked, like, is the next bus gonna be here? And they were like, we don't know. Like, we don't know where the driver is. Like, we can't get in touch with him. I'm like, Jesus. So I had a con the next morning, and I asked, I bit the bullet and got an Uber from, I got an Uber from Indianapolis to Columbus, which was about 3 hours.
Ooh.
And I was like, I really hope that somebody accepts this. And so the driver accepted it and showed up, but he obviously like didn't look at what the destination was first, because he's like, where are you going? I'm like, oh man. I'm like, Columbus? He's like, Ohio? I'm like, yeah. I go, if you want me to find someone else, I totally will. I completely understand. And he thought about it for a little bit and goes, nah, this will help pay my rent. I tipped him like the biggest tip you could do on there, and we stopped and I got him an energy drink, and I laid down in the back seat and like got a little bit of sleep. Got in at like, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning or something like that. When I did Cleveland, the only time the train would leave to go back to Springfield was like 2 in the morning. So I had to get the hotel like an extra night just to be there and check out at like 1 a.m. So when I got on that train going back, everyone on the train was asleep, except for the Amish. When you take the train a lot, you notice that like there's always like Amish on the trains. The Amish people were talking like in German at full volume, to the point to where like one of the Amtrak employees had to come in and tell the Amish to be quiet. They're like, hey, people are trying to sleep, you should probably be quiet. The guy who was next to me was just kind of laughing and looked at me and went, I speak some German. They're not talking about anything interesting. He goes, they're just talking about like soil and shit.
Well, what would you expect the Amish to be talking about? I wouldn't expect them to be talking about like, you know, I don't know, the newest iPhone or something. No,
yeah,
that would be shocking. But you know.
Or their latest game of Catan. But yeah, that happened when I was coming back from Cleveland.
So, hey, future movie actor again. Okay, so what I meant was still keep Speed 2 in the continuity, but just kind of hand wave it. And the 2, Alex Shaw, Jason Patrick.
Hand wave it?
You maybe just like just not pay any attention to it. Like say like, oh yeah, it happened, sure, but not really. Yeah. And then 2, Alex Shaw, Jason Patrick was basically just Jack Tavern.
I mean, he was named something different. Like, he was a different character, but you can tell that was supposed to be Jack in the original script because he has the same job.
Right.
He works with the same unit that Jack did. So yeah, you can tell in the script, like, this was supposed to still be Jack. They just named him something different.
Well, had Keanu started The Matrix by then? I mean, he was a major star by then.
Oh, yeah,
so that's
certainly.
why he could totally walk away from his Speed 2.
Speed 2 was before The Matrix.
Sure, right.
The Matrix was 99,
that's
I think,
right, yeah,
and Speed was 95, so Speed 2, I think, was 97 or 98.
Okay.
So yeah, it was before.
He had a pretty big star.
No,
so
yeah.
He was able to walk away from that, so pretty easy. So, okay, so either their username is deleted or they are deleted. But have either of you guys seen I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore? Seen it recently. Just curious to see if you enjoyed it. Have a good day.
That sounds emo as shit. No, I've never heard of it.
No, I haven't heard it either. Well, yeah, see what it's about.
I mostly watch older television.
Right. Is that a TV show?
Is it?
I don't know. Is that what you're saying? You watch old TV?
Oh, I thought he was asking about a television series.
Oh, maybe it's a movie.
Is it a movie? I don't feel at home in this world anymore. I don't think I've heard of that.
I'd look it up, and there's a cat on my lap, so I can't get my phone. Well, we'll look into it. We'll look into it.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Pizza's 8 minutes away. Yes.
Oh, well, yes. Okay. T. Gore, thank you so much for the contribution. Will Spoonie return in your next movie?
I wish.
Yeah, we do wish.
Yeah. I really do. He has an open door invitation to be in any movies that we do, and when we were in pre-production on the sequel to the Snob movie, I held out like a part in the script for his character from the first movie to return, because I love Noah and I love working with him too, and he was fantastic in the first movie. But it just didn't happen. But again, like I said, because he doesn't live that far from me, and we try to go over there like during the holidays and everything. Yeah, it just didn't work out with him being in it. But again, like, we left the door open for him to be in anything in the future, like if he would want to get back into acting again. Because man, he's hilarious in that first movie.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
But when I rewatched the first, because I hadn't seen the first movie in about 6 years, when I rewatched it for the Snob episode, man, he was cracking me up.
Yeah.
The stuff with Jake and Black Angus was cracking me up, where it turns into like a buddy cop movie.
Exactly, yeah. The movie just suddenly just takes a hard right turn and becomes a totally different movie.
Yeah.
Again, for the third time.
Yeah. When I went, part of why we wanted to do a sequel as well was to make a movie with a man, because when I watched the first movie again, I was like, this is still pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I was watching it going like, man, I wish like we made it with the money that we had
with
for
a
the
better
sequel.
Budget, yeah.
Yo, man, I really did.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm proud of that film.
No, I am too. It is funny,
and it's for what we were able to do at the time. But like, yeah, the Snob 2 is that's. It has the budget it deserves.
Yeah.
And it shows what we can really do, and it's gonna be.
My weight doesn't fucking fluctuate in the second one like it did in the first movie. What? Oops, I got everything in here. I remember when I was playing this with Dave, like not long after it came out, and like I was crashing over at his place, and we played through this one night, and it was his turn in this level, and I was basically telling him what to do because I'd beaten it before, and I'm like, okay, Dave, grab this box over here. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, take it to the edge, now throw it off. He's like, okay. He goes, what was in there? I'm like, a box of coins. Son of a bitch, asshole.
That's awesome. So, future movie actor. Hey again, buddy. So, I give God Friended Me a lot of credit for having both sides. You are allowed to believe it is not really God, or allowed to believe it is. So, you're talking about the TV show, God Friended Me.
Yeah, I watched the pilot of that, and I remember, I think it was okay, because I watched that a day that I binge-watched a bunch of other pilots. Because, yeah, I did a binge-watch episode on that. And, I remember it being, like, better than I thought it was gonna be, I think. But obviously it didn't leave any kind of lasting memory with me, really, because I'm struggling to kind of remember a lot of stuff that happened in it.
Right.
It was, like, it was certainly better than, like, God's Not Dead, Let There Be Light, things like that. Like, Yes! Usually that takes me a few tries to get the under 21 seconds.
Okay, so let's see here. Next one down the list. Charles Harkins, thank you for the contribution. Could you add context to the movies and actors you name drop? Sometimes I'm not familiar with any. Yeah, welcome to the club, pal. So, no, yeah, okay.
Sarah will do that, where she's like, I don't know what movie you're talking about. And sometimes I'll be like, you were there.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? It is hard. It's true. I mean, you know, when you're friends with people like Brad, and you know, this guy knows everything about every movie ever. It is true. Sometimes you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to do some homework.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, pal.
Sometimes I don't even. I watch so many movies. Like I don't realize I'm making a really obscure reference sometimes. I really don't. Like, I'm not... Like, I'm never doing it in, like, a way to make myself sound smart or anything like that. Like, oh, only I'll get this reference and the person I'm talking to doesn't. Like, I'm never doing it like that. It's just... I just see a lot of movies, and I don't realize that not everyone has seen Rape Squad.
Weird. So, Nick Rucco, I think that is. Thank you so much for the contribution. Did you watch the Coen Brothers movie on Netflix?
No,
that's,
I need to.
Buster Scruggs, right?
Yeah.
Now, my brothers have watched that, and they keep telling me I need to see it. And what's interesting, and again, I want to actually watch it to learn for myself. But they felt that like it's because it's like an anthology, or like there's a bunch of movies, like stories that are built into it.
Oh, okay.
And it's all Western themed.
Yeah.
And I think there's a thread through the middle of it, but they said the first one is amazing.
Yeah.
And then it really falls flat after that.
Oh, okay.
Now, again, I haven't seen it, so I can't verify that, but yeah. I do want to check that out. I really like the Coen Brothers.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
You know, I really, really like their stuff. So yeah, that's one that I definitely want to check out.
Yeah.
So. Charles Harkins again has asked thoughts on Elizabethtown and A Lot of Love.
I don't know what A Lot of Love is.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one either.
I love that this question is after, like, Brad has seen every movie and knows everything about every movie, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And I don't think I barely remember anything about Elizabethtown, the Cameron Crowe movie. I think I was working at the video store when that came out, so I might have been. I think I rented it because we got to rent stuff in advance, so I would take a bunch of stuff home every night, and I remember kind of watching it then. And was probably drunk. So I just remember it being kind of mediocre, I think. Like, I seem to recall it having some smart stuff in it, like where they're having this really long, great conversation on the phone, and then when they meet in person, like, they're not connecting as well or something like that. Like, but again, I might be misremembering it, because again, I'm pretty sure I was drunk when I was watching that.
All right, Adam Grunther. Yeah. Thank you so much for your contributions and for viewership. Let's see here. Which of the Tig with Tig anniversary movies did you enjoy working on the most?
Probably Kick-Ass, yeah. Because none of us really knew each other during that, so it was great getting to know everyone and meeting, you know, like Noah for the first time in person. Same with Doug and everyone else. It was a quick shoot too. It was only like a 4-day shoot, and I'd never been to Reno before. So Reno looks a lot different than it does in the movies. Probably that one. The others were fun too. With To Boldly Flee was a lot more work because it was a 3.5-hour movie that we shot in 9 days. So the hours were pretty long, but you know it's a movie shoot and it's a long movie. Like
sure, yeah.
But Kick-Assy was probably the most lax.
Yeah. Kick-Assy was pretty fun. I enjoyed actually learning about that micronations actually are a thing.
I didn't know that either until that movie.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, did they make this up? Did they find no? And actually, like, it was like some other like little documentary or like a mini documentary I saw about. There's actually micronations, and that one is actually one of the more famous ones. Yeah, well, that's learn something new every day, I guess.
The Kevin Baugh, I think was the guy's name who ran it, and he was a fun dude.
Yeah.
His younger kids were really into it. His older son wasn't. His older son was having none of us being there. He just looked like the kind of guy who's probably heard a lot about this at school. The micronation thing.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm sure he's very popular because of it.
Maybe he was just not a morning person.
That's possible.
But he wanted like none of this.
Let's see here. Okay, great.
I had I think the easiest one for me as like an actor on those was probably Suburban Nights, because all I had to do was just do a Indiana Jones impression. So I got to do my Harrison Ford impression and really just kind of come in every now and then to say like an Indiana Jones quote. So I mean that was fun to do because I got to do my Harrison Ford voice, and that was acting wise that one was the easiest.
Oh, great. Okay, so let's see here. Charles Harkins again. Thoughts on Too Close for Comfort?
I didn't watch Too Close for Comfort.
What was that?
Was it a sitcom?
Sitcom. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch that. Sorry. Oh, you stupid eel tail. Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit.
Oh no. Emergency alert.
I was playing this movie. I'm like, not used to Mario being able to drown. That's more of a Sonic the Hedgehog rules.
So Andrew Polino again. Hey guys, one more question. How much can editing and post rescue a shot or a scene? And do you have any favorite editing tricks? Wow. Well, the answer is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not gods. It's the people who can really rescue it is the visual effects people.
Yeah.
And I mean I can speak from experience on the sci-fi movies and like Sharknado that I did.
Mm-hmm.
They did some incredible things to rescue stuff. Now an edit can. The editor I can work with anything that I've got. From any of the footage.
Yeah.
And there are absolutely times where you are it's something I learned from Anthony Ferrante, the director of Sharknado.
Yeah.
A lot of people had different methods of calling these things, but I did them too. But he always called them scavenger hunts.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do with these things, as for like a good editing trick, is from the moment the camera starts rolling to the moment it stops rolling. That's all footage you can use. And this might seem simple. This might seem like, well, of course it is. But no, really it is. And sometimes you need an actor to give a little look, or you need an actor to look, to turn their head, or you need something or anything. And if they turn on the camera, but they're pointing it away from where the actor's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And like they let it roll for a second before they swing it over to actually look at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a wall over there, or that's a something, or that's a person, or that's a dog sitting licking itself, or something. That's something you can use.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that stuff all the time.
Even I've done that. Even I've had to do that on my micro-budgeted stuff. I remember having to do that on an episode of The Reviewers. I needed a cutaway shot to Jillian, and went to just the footage like that we had, and inserted a scene of her like just turning over and coughing or something like that.
Right, and yeah, those type of things are extremely useful to use, and it's why you let the camera run a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
And you inventory those things, and you just try to make sure that you know all the footage. You watch all the footage.
Yeah.
As an editor. Because sometimes you need to rescue that, and sometimes it's not even when you're doing your first assembly of the film, you're mostly sticking to the script.
Yeah,
you're trying to build the movie based on what the script you had. But you get to a point where it's like, well, this says that this is supposed to happen here, but nothing of that was shot, so I need to complete this sequence to get us to the next scene.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go through and dig through my scavenger hunt, and it's not even like, when you're watching the stuff, you're looking for specific things. You're just watching through, and you're like, "Oh, look, this actress gave a nice look."
Sometimes it'll look like. Did I ever send you that clip of Bruce Willis?
Okay, now, see that's an example of where they were told to do that.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
that was a situation. If you're quick background on that, it's a movie with Bruce Willis where he's playing like the neighbor to what's the guy's name?
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo is the main character, but yeah, Bruce Willis is like his neighbor, and in like the very first scene, he walks out of his house and he says something like,
"Keep working, old man."
And then you see this weird shot of Bruce Willis like turning like this, and then you see a double from behind the head wave his arm, going, I'll get you someday, man.
Yeah, it's like, I'll take you anytime, punk.
Right, with this terrible dubbed voice.
Yeah.
Clearly, what happened there, like, I mean, I don't know exactly what happened there, but I have a pretty good idea what happened there.
Yeah.
Is that they have a movie that is co-starring Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And in the first 20 minutes of the movie, or 10 minutes of the movie, Bruce Willis doesn't show up. So they realize, oh, shoot, we need to show that Bruce Willis is in this movie in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's have a double stand there and pretend like he's Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Let's have the scene of Frank Grillo say something to the guy, but we need actually to see Bruce Willis's face.
Yeah.
So they dug through the footage. They did the same kind of scavenger hunt that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And they found a moment which was probably in between takes. And when you look at Bruce's face...
He's obviously listening to directions.
He's listening to somebody. Like, he's listening to the director. So clearly he was looking this way. He's like, okay, I'm going to do this in the scene. The director said, hey, Bruce, this time I need you to turn your head a little more to the right. And he goes, wait, what'd you say?
Yeah.
And the guy said, turn your head more to the right. Oh, okay. So
like nods.
So they, in the scene, it's Frank Grillo saying, you whatever, old man. And then you see Bruce Willis go,
yeah.
Like what?
Look this clip up on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's, wow. Like, I had to take it back and look at it
right
again when I was watching it for the first time, because I watched it with Laura and I reviewed it, and she was looking away when this happened, and this happened, and I went, whoa. And she's like, what, and I took it back.
Now obviously this is an example of where I mean, and again, like, I've been there, so I know.
Totally.
They had no other choice.
No, I agree.
This was it. This was the only time they ever have Bruce Willis looking.
Yeah.
That wasn't already part of a scene that's been used before. Because that's another problem. You use a shot you've already used. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to call it out. They use the same shot.
And because I agree, because no one wants their movie to look like that.
No, nobody wants that to happen. And with the amount of people that actually probably worked through that, that's clearly the best they were able to do. So that's a really good like as far as editing trick. I mean, that's one we use a lot, and it absolutely can save a movie.
I mean, you personally have worked on movies Seagal is in,
right?
And have had to spread out his footage,
right? Yeah. So the sniper movie I worked on called Sniper Special Ops with Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
The movie's got like a 2 or something on IMDb or something like. And the thing is that the reason why people hate it is because Seagal sucks. And he does. He really does. And like, I will defend this film because as everything that doesn't have Seagal in it is a passable war film.
No, it is.
If you like, and I don't mean like a great war film or anything. It was a passable war film. I mean, it was only shot for like $1 million. It was shot in the same studio that they did American Sniper in.
And you can tell.
You can tell. I mean, it looks really good. And, it's Fred Olin Ray who's directing it. And Fred knows action. Mm-hmm. He knows, it's a great, like, 80s, 90s action sort of feel to it.
Yeah.
We used real live not live ammunition, but, like, live blanks.
Live blanks. Yeah, that was because I saw the movie.
Yeah.
And that was, when I was watching it, I was giving it a lot of credit for that, because there was a lot of stuff actually blowing up, and, like, squibs going off. And
like, when bullet hits happen, they were using a paintball gun with dirt bullets.
Yeah.
So like when a bullet would hit near them, there'd actually be a ping and dust that was not digitally added. In fact, the only thing that was digitally added were they had Humvees. They had big 50 caliber machine guns.
Yeah.
Those didn't have any blanks.
Okay. So
there's a couple of shots of the Humvees shooting their guns. Those are big. Anyway, okay, so I'm spending all the time defending this movie, but here's the reason why people hate it, is because Seagal was only there for 2 days.
Yeah.
It was like a 14-day shoot. He was only there for 2, and those were only half days.
Yeah.
So the way they got around it in why, how could they have this character be kind of the star, but he's only in it for 2 days? Well, he gets captured. Well, not captured. He gets stuck behind enemy lines.
Yeah.
He's a sniper, and his spotter gets injured.
Go ahead and riff. I'm gonna.
Yeah. So I'll talk through this. So his spotter gets injured, and so he stays behind enemy lines to protect his spotter. And the other soldiers are going out, and they're trying to figure out how to come back and rescue him. And like they've got it's got Rob Van Dam in it, who's actually really fun. And then it's got Tim Abel, who kind of plays the star of this movie, and I adore Tim. Tim is awesome. He's so cool in this movie. And it's got Charlene Amoy in it, and she's really good. There's good things about this movie, darn it, even though the only reason people want to see it and the only reason it's so badly reviewed is, of course, Seagal. Anyway, so editing tricks. What do we have to do with him? Okay, so the finale of the movie, the climax, is the soldiers go into this town full of evil Taliban terrorists, and they set up an ambush, and they are able to rescue Seagal, his spotter, and they're able to take out this Taliban warlord. So in this big finale scene, Seagal is supposed to be covering them from the rooftop. So the soldiers are on the street, fighting off the terrorists, and Seagal's on the rooftop, covering them as a sniper. But here he's not using the big sniper, he's using his little gun. So in the shoot of this, they only got 2 takes, and they were using 2 cameras. But he just goes over to the edge of the roof, and he goes pop, 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 and goes, okay, I'm done. And they're like, okay, can we get one more take? And he's like, all right, fine, I'll do one more take. So then he goes over to the rooftop again. He goes pop, 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 done. And that was it. So for a 10-minute action sequence, I and Fred Ray, the director, we had to figure out a way to make him be covering them for 10 minutes with just what I told you. So here's all the things we did. So obviously we had from basically 4 angles, right? Because each take had 2 cameras. We had 4 angles of him going shoot, 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 shoot. So we were able to split that up into 4 different shots. Okay, so then what I was able to do was I was able to flip the shot. Okay, so now he's not shooting this way, he's shooting this way. All right, so that brings it out, and now I can use that about 8 times. And, not just flipping it, but you zoom in a little bit and you change it a little bit. And I think one of the times we might have even reversed it. So instead of him going like this, he's going like this out of the shot. So stretching to make, just this really quick bang bang. Stretch it over to him covering the other soldiers for 10 minutes. And I hope it turned out well. I mean, I think it turned out well because after hammering this again and again and again and again for a couple weeks.
It turned out well.
Okay, thank you. It turned out well. It looks like he's up there covering them.
No, it
because,
does.
I mean, he only did that a couple times. So we got a ton of shots of the stunt guys dressed up like terrorists getting shot and falling over and blowing up and all these other things.
There was never a reprisal moment.
Okay, good. Right? So again, you repeat a shot, people are going to call you out on it. So it felt like it went really well. But yeah, that was a Herculean task of
I always
making that particular thing look.
I always have to defend the early Steven Seagal movies.
Well, his early stuff is okay.
Yeah, I love.
But this one, he's 500 pounds.
Well, that's all of his movies now for the past 10 plus years.
And he spends most of the movie comfortably seated.
Mm-hmm.
He's behind enemy lines, so he's sitting back there, and he's just got this big Buddha belly because he's so big, and he's in special forces attire. And I'm like, I didn't know they made a special forces Kevlar vest that came in quadruple extra large, but apparently somehow they got one.
Grab my drink real quick.
But
I'll tell you this here in a second about Seagal.
But yeah, so the other part about that movie was that he came in and did a Cajun accent that no one asked him to do.
So we one time, me, Sarah, and Brian were watching, like, at the time, one of the newer Seagal movies. I can't even remember what it was called. And Sarah was like, how is this guy a star? And I go, like, Brian and I were like, this is not what he was like back in the day.
Right.
Like, so we popped up Marked for Death. And in the first 5 minutes, or in the opening scene, Sarah was like, what happened to this guy? This is a completely different person than what you just showed me with his newer film. Like, in my favorite ones of his older ones, like, Out for Justice, Marked for Death, Under Siege. Like, he is a different guy. He is more energetic. Like, he still talks in that, tough guy action voice, but he's funny. He's quick. He's very energetic. Like, I still love his older movies. Like, my dad and I were big fans of his, and we would go see whenever one of his movies would come out in theaters. We would really, really look forward to it.
Absolutely.
That is not the same person that you've seen in movies for his last 100, however many he does a year.
And the thing is that, like, so again, it's the like I said, he's the only reason people know about the film. It got theatrical release in Asia, at least I know. I think in Europe too. And I mean, it was on DVD. You could go. I bought it at Best Buy. I was very happy. I was like, look at this, everybody! It's a movie with my name on it.
Here's my favorite part. My favorite thing about that DVD cover is because the supporting actor in it is Rob Van Dam. Was that his name?
Yeah.
So the cover says Seagal Van Dam. Wink.
But not that Van Dam. You know what? Rob was a really cool guy. Like, I really liked Rob. Rob was really, really cool. And like I said, Tim Abel was Tim Abel was the star of that film.
Yeah.
And I love him. Tim is so cool. I've had a chance to work with him on a few things. Like, he's really close friends with Fred Ray. Who I've cut a lot of Fred's movies. Tim is awesome. He's such a cool guy. Such a sweet guy. Really, really awesome. But so the movie about Tim and Rob and Charlene Amoya is in it as well. Like, that movie is actually pretty fun. That's a fun movie.
Like,
it's not like great. It's not like the best movie I've ever seen or like super compelling. I mean, really, I would tell people that it's kind of like a video game, more so. Because it's not like there's no like American Sniper had like the deep things about PTSD and those. Yeah. Sure, that's deep storytelling. This really wasn't. It was, kind of like a Call of Duty, like, hey soldiers, here's your mission, go do it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they did.
It was like a act of valor, hunter-killer type
only with nowhere near the budget.
But honestly though, like, here's what I kind of remember about that Sniper movie, is that even though, like, it doesn't have the budget of those other movies, because there are blanks going off in it, and actual, like, pieces of concrete exploding, some of the effects were a lot better.
Like, you're right. I mean, you can't beat practical effects.
Yeah.
I mean, you really can't. You really, really can't. So, all right, let's see here. So, anyway, there was a very long-winded lecture about me editing. So
I'd love it if this happened just every time, like, I play this game. Like, you come over and are talking about editing, and I'm just sitting here, like, just playing like GoldenEye or something.
See, you know what? Thank you, Andrew. I do like talking about edits.
No, I love hearing about that guy, especially because it makes, honestly, hearing you talk about all of that stuff, when you talk about the movies you've worked on and everything, makes me notice a lot of things when I'm watching certain movies, like Reprisal. Like, like the credits and everything, and the bad editing when we went to go see The Least of These the other day. Like, it actually kind of makes me really cognizant of what's maybe kind of going on behind the scenes.
Right. And what's funny about watching those bad editing things is that I think that one of the best things that taught me so much about editing was working for Fred Olen Ray. He's a phenomenal director. The guy's done 100 or more movies.
I grew up watching his movies.
And what's great about working with him is that as I would do things, if something like a bad edit or something that didn't look just right, he'd be like, "What the hell was that?" So I hear he go, what the, and then but again, what was cool about him is he wanted, he taught me a bunch. He goes, "What you should do there is you should do this." And then once I did it, I'm like, "Oh my God, you're right. This is so much a better edit. This makes this into a great scene." So having worked with him for 3 years and done about how many do 12, 13 movies with him over some of that time, maybe a few more. I hear him in my head when I'm watching a movie like that. When they do a bad edit, I hear Fred Ray in my head go, "What the hell was that?" Here he goes, "Whoa, whoa, stop! What was that?" And so, but all right. So let's see here. We've got a few more questions that have come in here. Let's see here. Charles Harkins. Okay, a lot like Love is what he meant. A Kutcher film.
An Ashton Kutcher film?
Yeah. Ashton Kutcher film.
A lot like Love. Is that the?
I recognize that title now.
Is that the movie with him and Amanda Peet?
Maybe. I have fun.
Where he's singing like Bon Jovi Outer Window or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
If that's the movie, I didn't see it. There's a few movies in the Ashton Kutcher filmography that I've not seen.
Yes, that was the 2005 Ashton Kutcher, Amanda Peet.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I saw Just Married, and I saw The Butterfly Effect.
Right, that was about that time when he was doing a lot of those movies like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. So let's see what else.
Oh, this next one I won't be able to get until next time because I need Metalhead Mario for it.
Uh-oh. Stay tuned. All right. Future movie actor asked, other lead on Girl Meets World besides Sabrina Carpenter from The Hate U Give was Rowan Blanchard from both Spy Kids 4 and A Wrinkle in Time 2018.
I did see Spy Kids 4. Oh, that was the Smell-O-Vision one.
Oh, right. They gave you the card that had, like, scratch and sniff? Yeah.
Some of them worked. Other ones that didn't were like, oh, I guess her bacon smells like cardboard and she's a shitty cook. Then others would, like, the ones that did work were the grossest ones. So, like, a character would be on screen and just, hang on a sec. And then it'd be like, ding! And we're like, why did I do this? One of them didn't even make sense. One was like, the kid is frozen, so the sister, like, then puts his finger up his own nose, and then it goes ding, and we're like, okay. And we smelled it, like, is this supposed to smell like boogers? We smelled it, and it smelled like perfume, so I don't know what in the fuck that was supposed to mean.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie was a waste of my time.
Gee, I wonder why Smell-O-Vision never really caught on. So, oh man, oh boy. Okay, so, Hipster Elephant, thank you so much for the contribution.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
What do you think of the James Gunn movie Super?
Oh, that was really good. With Rainn Wilson and
yeah,
Ellen Page.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I do like those, like, amateur superhero movies, meaning, like, someone, just an ordinary like Defendor with Woody Harrelson, or Kick-Ass, or Blank Man, even.
Yeah.
I do tend to like movies like that, especially the darker that they get, and where they kind of get a bit more psychologically into a person who would do something like this. So yeah, the James Gunn movie Super with Rainn Wilson, where he wants to be a superhero and goes around beating people in the head with a wrench. Like, shut up, crime. And it's really bloody. Yeah, no, I did really like. I also really like Defendor with Woody Harrelson. Both of those movies are really good. I used to have a vlog review of Super, but I didn't save a lot of those in the blip thing. But I gave it a positive review when it came out. There was like a pretty shocking death that happens like towards the end of the film that I remember not really being that keen on. But other than that, I enjoyed it. And now this new movie that he's producing, Blackburn? Is that what it's called? Where it's like, what if Superman was a villain? Like where it's like it's like the Superman origin story, but it's a horror film, and that looks really cool.
Yeah,
and, like kind of scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that, I'm really looking forward to that.
Also, she finishes with also been watching your content for 9 years now. Thanks for the
thank
laughs
you.
and the feels.
And the feels.
And the feels.
There's been a lot of tears.
Right.
A lot of laughs, a lot of tears. So much masturbating.
Okay, so future movie actor again. Don't know about the third How to Train Your Dragon movie villain, but the second movie is one indeed considered a complete monster.
The second movie.
For the second movie villain. I don't know if I saw the second movie.
I did see it and I liked it, but I mean it's been a while. Like so, I mean I haven't, like most things I go see, I haven't seen it since they came out.
Sure, right.
But I remember liking the second one.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about the villain though. Like.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I saw that one. But also, they ask, have you seen Clock Stoppers? I remember.
I remember Clock Stoppers.
I went to see it, and the reason why I saw it for an incredibly nerdy reason.
Yeah.
Is that I love Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah.
Who played Commander Riker on Star Trek: Next Generation. And he's a director as well. Like he's a pretty,
he directed that?
He's a pretty prolific director.
Oh, okay.
And he directed that film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so that's why I wanted to go see it, because I was like, oh, it's Jonathan Frakes directed this. I want to see it. I mean, he also directed that, like, the Thunderbirds movie.
No, really?
Not one of the good ones, or at least not one of the ones that was well received.
Yeah.
Because I know there's been a few of those. But,
I remember when that came out.
But, yeah, and so it was Jonathan Frakes. I was like, I want to see it because I love Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it being. It was, like we talked earlier before. I don't remember it being like an offensively bad movie.
Clock Stoppers.
Yeah. It was just like it was a teen movie where they could stop time. It had Michael Biehn in it though.
Oh, did it really?
Michael Biehn was the villain, and I love Michael Biehn.
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's like to get Michael Biehn in anything, it's like worth it. So,
I remember it kind of looking like you probably asked Robert Rodriguez at one point to direct this.
Yeah.
Like hell, that was. I think Clock Stoppers was kind of the plot of Spy Kids 4.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because it was the kid had a watch that could stop time.
I think so, yeah.
And so, yeah, he could do, whatever you could fantasize as a teenager of doing that, but then, things go topsy-turvy because of Michael Biehn. So, but yeah. So, good old Clock Stoppers. That takes me back. Okay, then future movie actor again. Will there be another worst list video for this year with Dave, Laura Irving?
I don't think so. I think we're just going to stick to the one this year because me and Sarah saw the most movies.
Right, yeah.
Get your questions in too, by the way, because I'm about to get the first floor done.
Exactly, yeah. So
there we go.
Uh-oh.
And me playing this for the first time, like, 20-some years ago. Wow. Can't believe, Jesus. 20-some years ago. Going like, oh my god, did I just beat the game? At this point, all I needed was 8 stars.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. So, all right. So, Crazy Bested, I guess that's what that is. Thank you for the contribution. It said, can't wait for the next Snob movie. I draw web comics, including horror, one called Slaughter Hill, if you want to check it out sometime. Keep up the great work. Yeah, I'd love to check it out. That'd be great.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm excited. I'm super excited for that movie. I really can't wait to see how it's come together. It was a blast of a movie to shoot. It's easily going to be our best looking movie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's going to be a gorgeous looking film.
It's going to be gorgeous. It's got some just great funny moments that I'm so pleased. Like when we shot them on set, like they were funny on set, but they translate so funny in the context of the film. I mean, it really, because really letting this one be from the voice of the cinema snob,
right?
I mean, like, because we know the voice of the cinema snob so much better now, and like
than in the first movie.
Craig as a character playing the cinema snob, he knows the cinema snob now. Like it's no longer like developing who the cinema snob is through the course of the movie like it did in the first one.
Also,
like he is the cinema snob at the beginning of this movie.
it also has a lot to do with internet culture,
right?
Which the first one didn't, because the first one, the character in the first movie was not on YouTube or anything like that. It was about him coming up with the character, and it wasn't even to be online. It was he created the character so he could infiltrate this film group.
Right.
So there really wasn't anything really in the first one necessarily that kind of satirized YouTube or internet videos, whereas this one does, because this movie's several years later, so he's been doing this for a long time. So the movie really does get to poke fun at and satirize things like outrage culture and, you know, YouTube celebrity and stuff like that. It really gets to play with a lot more of those things. More so, and we even did a little bit of that in Jesus Bro too.
Yeah, right.
And we get to do it a lot more in this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I got the first floor done, so we can just kind of chill and like answer a few more questions before we wrap things up.
Right. Is that the pizza over there, by the way?
It is. Yeah. Help yourself.
I'm gonna go get pizza here.
Mario's gonna fall asleep here in a second. Let's see. Thank you so much for all the contributions, future movie actor. The writer and director DJ Caruso of Disturbia and Return of Xander Cage will be behind the upcoming Are You Afraid of the Dark movie. I'm down with that, because like he's done... I didn't care much for Return of Xander Cage, but he's done stuff that I've really liked. He did a movie with Val Kilmer a while back called The Salton Sea. That's a really underrated movie about Val Kilmer being undercover as like a drug dealer. That's a really underrated film. So if you haven't seen The Salton Sea, check that one out. So yeah, I mean that's a fine choice to direct a movie version of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Brian Nielsen says, have you seen the last horror movie, a British found footage movie from 2003? No, but I saw the Joe Spinell last horror movie. That Carolyn Monroe was in with them, that was after they did Maniac. I saw that one about a guy who's like obsessed with horror movies and goes to like a film festival to like find his favorite actress, and it's Carolyn Monroe, and it was weird. Like it wasn't as I love Maniac. It wasn't as good as Maniac. There's a part in it where like the marquee at like Cannes, I think, or wherever this is taking place, says Cannibal Holocaust. And this was in the early mid 80s. Awesome. So I remember it, and it ends weird. I think Joe Spinell and Carolyn Monroe become friends by the end of the film or something like that. Like it's bizarre. I have no idea if this one here is supposed to be a remake of that, or like if it just happens to have the same name. Mario's fast. One time when Nick Foster, who was in some of our movies, he was in Freak Out and Cheap. He played the bag man who I shot in the head in Disco. When he was living with me for a while, one time I was playing this and I just kept it on while he was asleep, while Nick was trying to sleep. So it was just this constant snoring he kept hearing. Speaking of, when we did there's been some really funny like comments in the worst movies of the year video, because it was either me or Sarah, I don't know, but our breathing was really loud in it, because we both had some like sinus issues at the time, and so because of that, you can just kind of hear heavy breathing in it. No one who notices this thinks it's coming from us. They think it's somebody behind the camera who is asleep in the room that we were shooting this video, as if that video needs a cameraman, right? And also as if we would go into a room that, let's say, Laura is sleeping in to shoot this 2-hour video of us at full volume. But no, that was not a person sleeping behind the camera or a really loud, heavy breathing cameraman that we had. But it looks like if that's it, we can wrap things up. So yeah, you guys can go off and watch football. I guess I don't know when that starts. I'm not having a Super Bowl party or anything this year. So
yeah.
But
we could do a video where we could talk about commercials.
Oh yeah,
we can talk about that sometime later. Not
yeah. Oh yeah. I don't anymore. Don't they have the commercials up online before they even air?
Typically do, but usually I would have seen something by now. You know what I mean? Like they usually made a big deal about that. But I don't think they make a big deal anymore.
The only thing I've seen on it so far is that Jeff Bridges is playing the dude in a commercial because he teased it on his Twitter,
right?
Where it was him. Now dressed up like the dude, and everyone's like, "Oh man, what's this be like another movie or something like that?" And they posted an ad, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, just an ad, man. Okay, fine. I'm sure it's funny."
I mean, yeah, exactly.
But,
it's like,
all right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for all of your questions. Thanks for all of your super chat donations and everything. And we would like to keep doing this again on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So
this was fun.
Yeah. And it's a game that I've played so many times to where I can talk during it and not be distracted.
Well, you have other 64 games here as well, right?
Oh, yeah, I
Sweet,
do.
awesome,
and so that's something we can do. So tune in next time where we'll do the basement levels. I'll get that other Jolly Roger Bay one that I need Metalhead Mario for. All right, everyone.
Thanks to look forward to.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Thanks much for watching, and we'll see you next time.